Got my first job off of Craigslist for $40, and now I'm charging upwards $4,000 for wedding photography. Hey guys, Samia here, wedding and portrait photographer. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about specifically how to raise your prices as a photographer and the 6 steps I think you need to do in order to do this successfully. So since this video is going to be specifically about how to raise your prices, I have another video that I will link down below on how to determine what bracket you should be in and the different kind of levels of pricing, but I'm just going to talk about in this video specifically moving level to level and raising your prices. So real quick, if you are new here and you're a photographer, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button because I come out with 2 new videos every single week just for you and how to help you build your photography business. So I started shooting weddings. I got my first job off of Craigslist for $40, and now I'm charging upwards $4,000 for wedding photography. It's not the top of the industry. You know, I'm not saying I'm absolutely the expert on this, but I have been that person that's gone through each stage of wedding photography, and I know what that feeling feels like and how confusing it can be to question whether or not you should be raising your prices. So I just want to let you know that I've been there, and I'm going to tell you how I navigated this process. Step 1 is to ask yourself this question: is raising your prices a feeling or is it logic? So the answer is it might be a little bit of both, but I feel like that is an important step because you might be feeling like you should increase your prices because you've just been at a certain price for a while, and it might not be enough of a push. That feeling might not be enough of a push because your skill set hasn't increased. Or since you've booked weddings about a year, in advance, you haven't shot as many weddings to catch up your experience level. So it could be true that it's a feeling, but I would just recommend that you have a little bit of logic to back up this feeling that you're having. So if that means starting to learn a new skill, if that means saying, okay, I need to shoot 10 weddings before I feel like I could increase your prices. So it's self-awareness, I feel like, is such a good tool to have as an entrepreneur and a business owner. So make sure that it's not just like you feel like you are worth more money, and back up that feeling with, I actually learned a new skill, I actually have better equipment. Back it up with some logic. Step 2, assess how your current pricing is actually doing. And I feel like this is something business owners sometimes neglect. The best way to do this is, it's impossible for anyone in this industry to have 100% booking rate. So it's not like you've booked every single couple that has ever inquired with you. So it can be helpful to survey the people that reject you. So I have another video on exactly what to ask people that reject you. And it's kind of like a check yourself, check your pricing strategy to make sure you understand how your current pricing is doing. So watch that video and assess your current pricing structure. So real quick, because I'm actually curious, leave a comment down below what you do when you get rejected as a photographer. Do you do the survey thing like I mentioned in the other video? Do you cry? Do you scream? Let me know in the comments how it feels so we can all talk about what it means to be rejected, because I know nobody has 100% booking rate. So just leave a comment down below. Step 3 to increasing your prices is to have the means to make that increase successful. So the first 2 steps, you've kind of decided and thought about how you're currently doing. So if you want to increase and actually successfully book clients at a new price, you are likely targeting a different clientele. And so that means that your portfolio of work needs to appeal to your new clientele. So the easiest kind of way to think about this, I feel like the way it was explained to me, was that you'd look at a wedding budget, right? And a wedding budget usually spends 8 to 12% on photography. So that's for like the wedding as a whole. So if a $50,000 wedding is spending $10,000 on photography, that means my price would be $5,000 just for simplicity. My portfolio, and I'm trying to charge $5,000, needs to showcase $50,000 weddings to appeal to couples with $50,000 weddings being planned, so that they can see themselves in the work, and the money that they are spending on their wedding, they can see documented accurately because you have documented weddings of that stature before. So these brackets aren't exact, and there's definitely a lot of I've booked weddings that are higher and they spend a lot more money on me than 10%, and I've booked weddings that are lower and they spend only a little bit of that percentage. So it's not exact, but it's a ballpark to get you kind of understanding that if you are trying to book, you're going from charging $1,000 to $6,000 and your portfolio does not reflect those weddings that are a little bit more expensive, it might be difficult for that ideal client to see you as a good fit for them and their wedding. Then even more than that, just a side note, it's helpful to actually showcase the venue that the same couple is getting married at. I know that that's like kind of a difficult thing to do if you're trying to get into this space, but if you can second shoot at certain venues that have wedding budgets that high, it'll be easier for couples to understand that you have experience at that venue and things like that. So just a quick tip on how to showcase that properly. Okay, so if you're going to increase your prices and do that, step 4 is going to be have a way to showcase your new pricing that makes sense. So for example, if you're using Honeybook, a whole playlist on Honeybook here on YouTube, you can get a 50% discount code down below. But if you're using that, it has a brochure kind of thing you can make inside Honeybook, and it's nice and it's simple and it works, but if it's possible that you may outgrow that. And if you are sending a brochure of pricing for thousands of dollars, it needs to look like a brochure worth thousands of dollars, if that makes sense. So I actually use Canva, and I have a pricing guide that can get you started, like a free guide that you can get in the link down below. I'll link. But you just want to make sure that the fonts and the branding and the delivery of this new pricing makes sense with the pricing. So you don't want to be sending a $10,000 quote on a sticky note. Like, you get the idea. You need to elevate how your presentation of the pricing is. A method of handling the inquiry that matches the new level of pricing. So for example, when I was shooting weddings for less than $3,000, it was easy and it made sense for me to send couples inquiring the pricing brochure right away. When I started to charge more, it became difficult for me to convert clients when I wasn't getting on the phone with them and I wasn't explaining to them what all goes into this quote for so many thousands of dollars. So because of that change in like how those different clients were reacting to my pricing, I learned I have to have a consultation call to book clients of a higher method. And so to do that, I needed to do it faster. So I have another video here on YouTube that explains how to automatically respond to inquiries when they inquire through your website. So that's something you definitely want to set up. But no matter what, you want to make sure that you are handling this inquiry in a way that is reflective of a service that they would book. So it does not make sense for me to still do the same business process of sending a brochure to these clients when it's not going to convert. So the new process would be send them a link to schedule a consultation call and have a process for that consultation call. So you see what I'm saying? The process of that initial discussion, initial contact together is different. So that might be the case when you increase your prices. So make sure you have a new process in place for how to convert the new clientele that might be coming in. Just tip number 6 is just a rule of thumb. I would never in my business increase my prices more than $300. So just kind of a quick rule of thumb is I wouldn't increase more than $300. $300 is a lot of money, and it is a big jump. So it might not seem like it to you, but really you are. Every time you increase your prices, you're increasing expectations, you're increasing clientele. So $2,800 to $3,100 is still a big difference. So I would do it slowly, do it carefully, no matter what price you increase that. Step 6 is to test it and repeat. So by test it, this is where people mess up, is they assume that when you don't book, your pricing was too high. You make assumptions about people that do book, and you assume that your pricing wasn't too high, and you assume that they didn't have to try to find more money to book you. So it's important to have open communication with who is booking you, and more importantly for this, who is not booking you. So you can watch that video that I was mentioning about handling rejection, because that is the best way to test your new pricing and figure out why people are not booking you, and make sure that if it is pricing and you get too many, maybe you have made a little bit of a too far of a jump and you need to go back down a little bit. Okay guys, you can get my guide to pricing your wedding photography down below, and also watch those other 2 videos that I mentioned on handling rejection and automatically responding to your inquiries through your website. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you here later this week.